Joe Waldron, Legislative Affairs Director, Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Joe.
Good morning, deplorables. My name is Joe Waldron, and as Mark just said, I'm the Legislative Director of Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Or should I say good morning, paranoids. For many years now, we've been saying that the other side wants to take our guns, and they call us paranoid in response. Well, the cat is out of the bag. We're not paranoid. They've been lying for decades. CCRKBA is the lobbying side of the Liberty Park home. SAF is a 501c3 and thus prohibited from directly advocating legislation. So CCRKBA was born, I would add 2 to 3 years before the NRA formed ILA, its dedicated lobbying arm. Registered as a 501c4 under IRS rules, and lobbying is our game. Our principal focus is lobbying at the federal level, as you have already heard from Mark Barnes, our representative on Capitol Hill. I think he spoke yesterday. Lobbyists play a critical role in passing or opposing legislation. Lobbyist is frequently used as a 4-letter word unless it's your lobbyist. We're frequently called special interests, but when nearly half of the homes in this country, if not more than half, have a gun in them, at what point do we become a public interest? Certainly representing a fundamental enumerated right in the Bill of Rights has got to be a public interest. One more thing about lobbyists. Most contract lobbyists in Washington or your state capital, people in the $3,000 suits, are there with their hands out. They're looking for taxpayer dollars, your dollars, to support their clients. Gun lobbyists are generally there with their hands up, just asking that we be left alone, that our rights not be diminished. And we usually pay our own way on the infrequent occasions we do ask for a funded program. Classic example, the Pittman-Robertson Act, which goes back 70, 80 years now, money for conservation donated by gun owners as part of an excise tax for that conservation. It goes back to the 30s. But there's something else that you must understand. Registered lobbyists are the public face of the gun lobby. They're the point of the spear. But without the weight of the shaft behind it, the point won't penetrate. You are the gun lobby too. Our strength isn't in the millions of dollars we contribute to political campaigns or candidates. Our strength rests with the fact that there are 100 million gun owners out there. The gun lobby is every American who owns a gun. It's called grassroots lobbying. You've heard it here before this morning, and it's effective. And it's important. In fact, no, it's not important. It's critical that each of you communicate your concerns with your elected officials. 80 years ago, the great American humorist Will Rogers observed, "It's not what we don't know that gets us in trouble, it's what we know that isn't so." Half, maybe more, of a lobbyist's job is education. There's an incredible amount of misinformation floating around on the gun issue. Some of it simply ignorance, much of it intentional, perhaps most of it intentional. It's our job as lobbyists and your job as grassroots lobbyists to set the record straight. And that means communication, not just to politicians. It goes to your friends, your neighbors, your community as well. Again, there's a lot of misinformation floating all around out there. Senators and representatives at the federal level, senators and representatives, delegates, assembly persons, whatever you call them at your state level. They need to be informed. They need to be educated. But you say my elected officials are anti-gun. What am I going to accomplish there? It doesn't matter. Inform them. Make them go on record. As competitive rifle shooters, we like to say, run them up and disc them. If they want to come out in writing and say they're anti-gun, let them do that. To do that, you need ammunition. In this case, information. Hopefully you're going to get a lot of that, or you have gotten a lot of that right here this weekend, both in the presentations and the panel discussions you've heard, and in the publications you've been provided. Every month in CCRKBA's Point Blank, our monthly newsletter, we publish an item called the Citizen Action Project, the CAP. It takes a look at a single piece of legislation, usually at the federal level, or sometimes ongoing firearms rights-related activity somewhere in the U.S., and asks members to write, call, email the appropriate individuals at whatever level to get the message out, pro or con. The cap is just a suggestion. It's a reminder, an instigator. What have I done this month to protect our rights? While we suggest a topic, you pick whatever pushes your button. The important thing is to communicate and to communicate often. They need to know who you are. Typically, there are 100 or more gun bills filed in Congress every session. At the state level, you'll find dozens, if not more than dozens, of gun-related bills filed, pro or con. If you write a letter, it should be short, no more than 1 or 2 points, 1 or 2 pages. Whatever you do, check the spelling. The first thing that's going to pop out in a letter when a legislative aide or the legislator reads it is a misspelled word. I'm going to cut it off here. I'd like to thank you for your time. Contact information for your elected officials, for your congressional elected officials. If you go to www.CCRKBA.org, go down the left column, the left margin, and you'll see contact information for elected officials here. Those are federal officials. Again, our principal focus is at the federal level, but it's also in the blue pages of your telephone directory. But please, I don't care how you do it. You don't like to write letters. You're not good at writing letters. You can go straight to the White House, fill in the blanks, and send your opinions to the president. He won't read it. No, the president probably won't read it. But they count. They take numbers. What are the calls we're getting? What's the position one way or the other? And those numbers influence what the man does. Thank you.